This is Matt with Mobility 101, and right now this is Technique Fix Friday, week 8. We're going to give you 2 exercises this week because I believe they belong together, all right? So number 1 is going to be band pull parts with the orange jump stretch band, and number 2 is going to be band face pull with the red jump stretch band. So plain and simple, the reason why I couple them together is because number 1, I utilize them in all of my training programs. With athlete population, rehab population, client population. To me, if you can understand how to pull apart, how to set the shoulder blades in motion, how to set the rib cage down and create a stable foundation to pull from, it's only going to aid and benefit you down the line with the bigger components of your training program. Think one-arm rows, think barbell bent over row, think any sort of pulling variation, pull-ups, seated rows, so on and so forth, even benching, deadlifts, etc., etc. The big thing is their basic fundamental movements, just with simple as a band, to show you where to position things to utilize them down the line. So also the other benefits of it is that we see a lot of people with jacked up traps, really tight neck, creating a lot of tension, a lot of stress, holding patterns, so on and so forth. The big thing is we can teach these individuals how to relax the neck muscles down and utilize the shoulder blades in terms of retraction, protraction, and all those good things. It can help in reducing that tension, that stress and whatnot, but also setting a better foundation again for bigger movements down the line. So number 1, just have an orange jump stretch band here. The big thing is I see, and it's not necessarily wrong, but people will have a base that's narrow or like hip width apart. And what happens is they're more prone to something like this, that forward and back diving. So think they're pulling the band apart, they're jumping forward, they're pulling back. Again, not really getting what we want there. So if we just have a simple fix to that, set a wider base, one foot in front of the other, doesn't matter which foot's in front of the other, just set hip width apart, one foot in front of the other, stay nice and tall, and just pull apart like that. It better enables you to have a more stable base without jumping forward and back. Okay. The other thing too is that we see is a lot of people will be jacked up here, right? And they're pulling apart, right? So they're pulling apart, they're staying jacked up, they're pulling apart, or what they'll do is they'll pull apart and trap raise at the same time. Both are pretty faulty patterns. What we want to do is just think, relax the neck muscles down, shut them off, try to not utilize them. Don't think about using them. Simply think of, you have 2 shoulder blades. A very basic way to understand is they want to become best friends when you pull apart, and then they want to hate each other when you separate. So best friends when they pull apart, so they're coming in together, they're squeezing in together this way when I pull apart. And now as I separate, as I bring the band back rather, they're going to separate slow and controlled. Okay, just like that. The other thing too with this is that people they'll just go fast. They'll go really fast here. We're not getting what we want. Slow it down, set your feet nice and wide, neck muscles relax, pull apart, slowly and controlled come back. Don't let it yank you back. Big thing to focus on here is keeping the arms straight, having a nice good grip on the band, and really making the shoulder blades become best friends here. Squeeze, hold for a moment, and then slowly separate. The shoulder blades become best friends here as they pull apart, pause, and then slowly separate, okay? That's how we fix the band pull apart. So for the band face pulls, I want to show you from 2 different angles. We see a lot of the same patterns. Neck's tight, they'll row and they'll trap raise as well at the same time. They'll have a narrow base, all things that we don't want, okay? So again, have a nice wide hip width base, 1 foot in front of the other. Again, it doesn't really matter as long as you feel, whatever you feel comfortable with. Once we're there, I want you to think about creating a straight line from the hips to the head. So I don't want you to arch back. I want you to create a nice straight line, have a nice angled platform to pull down on. So that's what we want to focus on. So once I'm here, I'm set up like that. Think all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull straight down on my chest, or my face rather, just like that, okay? The other piece you want to add on to that is so if you would imagine this orange band with the red band, just for sake of equipment here, as I'm pulling the band to me, I'm also pulling the band apart. So the band pull apart exercise also lives within the band face pull. So again, as I'm pulling the red band to my face, I'm also pulling the band apart that way as well at the same time. Think of elbows shooting straight back, hands going towards the ears. So again, from this position, I'm going to have my feet hip width apart roughly, one foot in front of the other, nice tight core, hips to head straight line. I'm not arched. I'm creating a nice platform of base to bring the band to. I'm going to pull the band apart that way just as much as I'm going to pull the band this way, okay? Elbows aiming back. And then from the other angle. You also want to think of, yes, elbows are pointing back, but also as a good cue, an external cue to remember is elbows pointing back down toward the rear foot. Give those two exercises a shot in your warm-up drills, in your accessory drills, or even in between your lifts, and really think about honing in on that retraction-protraction pattern when you do them to aid in your bigger lifts.